Hello everyone. Today I want to show a couple of tools in SharpCap that really help you with some solar stuff. One is the feature tracker and the other one is the time lapse function of the, what's the name of that tool? The solar, lunar, planetary stacking and enhancement tool. So right now I have my image framed the way I want it. And the first tool that we will show is the feature tracker. And I've already made sure that it's working, and it is. So what I want to do is show you how I have my settings. I have it so that I'm using the mount and I'm using a guiding rates, because I don't want it to move a whole lot, but just be able to use like the pulse scatter. These are default settings. I'm using a phase offset, and all the other settings are default. So the first thing you have to do is calibrate your tracker. So I'm going to click on this. And what we're looking for is basically a straight line. And of course the wind picks up while it's doing this, but it does multiple tests. And hopefully, so that's what we want right there, that nice bottom left to top right line. While it's doing this, if for any reason it's having trouble tracking, it will come up with an error message up here. And what I have found that usually you just run it again and it will get sorted out. Yeah, like right now, this one failed, so I'm going to stop this. I'm going to click on monitor again and calibrate. And let's see if we get some. Oh, of course, the wind picks up while it's calibrating. I may have to tweak my contrast settings a little bit. Because it is jumping around. You don't want this to jump around, only if the frame is moving. So it's having trouble finding something to track on. So this will probably fail again. And I'll make a little adjustment with my histogram. And the position of the sun. I'll move it to something that's got a little more contrast so you can see it failed again. So this is good. You guys can see what happens when stuff fails. So I'm going to move the position of the mount to get into an area where there's a little more something for the tracker to get a hold of. And I'm going to make sure that I adjust the histogram. The smoke isn't helping me today. That looks better. So now I'm going to start the monitor. Oops, stop this. I'm going to start the monitor. I'm going to click on calibrate and let's see if we do better. And basically what this calibration does is it figures out how the mount moves to the commands that it's sending. And once it knows that, then uh, you're doing good. And we're looking for a straight line from bottom left to top right, something like this. That's a good one. And as you can see, it says that our calibration was successful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mount back over to the area that I want to look at, which is this guy. And let's attempt to get a little better focus. Something like this, maybe. Something like that. So I will, now that it's calibrated, all I have to do is click on guide and it will start guiding. And after you do a calibration, it will save that calibrated information so that when you open this tool again, you click on monitor and hit this drop down for calibrate and it says load calibration. It will load the old calibration for you. All right, so now that the tracker is tracking, our image will basically stay right where it is. So now I want to jump into the solar lunar stacking tool. And the first thing I want to do is see how my we'll take 55% just so we don't get in trouble here. But yellow are bad frames and the green ones are the good ones. So I want to be able to show how a cloud. Nice. So it even tells you when a cloud comes through. Okay, so in the stacker, I am flipping vertically so that it matches the true orientation of the stun or the stabilizer. I have now this is a AR102 with a cork on it. So I have a rather large spacing, mainly to catch so that each box has a feature to track on. Too small a box and you could wind up with nothing to track on. And my alignment noise reduction level is at 4 and my contrast threshold is 1.5. I'm on the surface and multi-point. So what I want to do now is go into the time lapse section, and for this I'm saving WMVs so that we can show them right away. My interval for my time lapse is 1 frame every 10 seconds. I'm applying my histogram to the image that we see here, and that's what's going to get stacked. And then I'm resetting the stack after every 80 frames, roughly, or after every 10 seconds. I have it set up so that I know I can get 80 frames into a stack within this 10 seconds. So I will start the time lapse. And you can see that I already have 1 frame. It's nice that it tells you a cloud went through. And I am applying some denoise and a little bit of fine. Not a lot, just enough. Now you can see that the stacker is I might have to lower or raise it to get up to my 80 frames. And you can see that's the center of each, this crosses the center of one of the frames in the stack, and you can see how much the stuff is moving today because I do have wind on top of smoke and clouds. Oh, look at this, guys. We got a little flare popping up right there. Well, this will be a good one. So what I'll do is I'll come back um, after I get enough frames into the stack, and I'll play it back for you. But I have to say before I go that these tools, for whether you're doing lunar, solar, even planetary, these tools are freaking amazing. And if you aren't using them, there's something wrong with you because they're awesome. So we'll catch you in a little bit. Alrighty, welcome back. As you can see, I'm up to 170 frames, and roughly that represents 28 minutes and 20 seconds worth of time in the time lapse. So we'll go to 180 frames, and then I'll stop the time lapse. And then show you the time lapse. And then after I show you the time lapse, I'll show you some of the stuff that you can do while the time lapse is being made. It's not like a set it. You can set it and forget it, but what will happen is, depending on the length of time you go. Now, I've made one that's an hour long, represents an hour's worth of time in the time lapse. And what will happen is your focus will change. Your histogram could change for some reason. So you would need to stop your stacking and pause the time lapse. So 3 more frames and we're done. Now, what I want you to do is when I play this time lapse back, I want you to watch this area right in here. So we're going to be just about 30 minutes worth of time lapse here. Yep, right on the button, 30 minutes. So now it's saved the time lapse. I'm going to stop tracking, and I'm going to leave the tool. And you can see that the mount is in the correct position because of that tracking, but my focus has gone soft. Now that could be a lot of reasons. I mean, I really have horrible skies today. I got clouds, real thin layer of clouds. I got smoke and I've got wind. And I wanted to show you that the software will work in under those conditions. So now we're going to jump in and take a peek at the time lapse. And you can see the activity of that flare. Now I changed the histogram because the histogram moved on me. I must have had a thicker layer of smoke. But this is the area of that you really want to watch, and you can see that this is a flare and it extends all the way up to here. And you can see that it's stable. And let's see, is there anything happening over here? Yeah, this stuff here is moving a little bit, but that could be mainly the from the stacking artifacts, but it's still this this feature alone makes doing solar during high activity, solar activity, so much more enjoyable because now you can do more than just look. You can actually make movies of what you see. Now, again, this is 30 minutes in how many seconds? 6 seconds. Yep, 30 minutes and 6 seconds. So now we're going to jump back into the stacker, and I'm just going to check my focus again. Okay, we'll leave it there. I'm going to, because I've already calibrated, I'm going to start guiding. And I'm going to move this over to here like so, and I'm going to jump into the tool, and I am going to leave my settings the same, but what I want to do is show you what you can do while the stack is happening. So I've started the time lapse, and as you will see, I can play with the histogram, and that gets reflected in the time lapse. So wherever it happens to stop for that next frame, it that change gets saved into your stack after or with the next frame. Now let's just say that I want to pause the stack because my focus is off. So I click on the pause stacking here, and then I want to see what my frames look like. And again, this is an inverted view, but that's okay. But let's just say your focus was off. Now I can correct for my focus. And I'm happy. Let's just say I made a change and I'm happy with it. I'm going to get out of this mode and I'm going to restart the stack or time lapse. And you can let this go for however long you want. I'm just going to stop it now because that was just to show you some of the stuff you can do. Now, for SEER videos, I would try to keep a neutral histogram because I'm going to use IMPPG to bring out the features that I want, whether it's a prom or this little area of the sun right here that we can just barely make out on the limb. IMPPG can bring more of that out. I have to, because I have a chrominance, I think it's a chrominance quark. I have I need some features to track on, so I'm pushing my settings a little bit more towards the surface than I am towards like prompts, which is okay. If I was saving SEER videos, I can correct for that. I hope that this video shows you solar astronauts like me that there is a lot more you can do with solar today than you could even 2 years ago. In fact, a lot of these features are new with version 4 of SharpCap. So I hope that the video did a good enough job of explaining things. I would start, if you're going to guide using the mount, I would start with using image features first, and if that fails, then move to phase offset. I went with phase offset based on the way I set up my histograms. So to each their own. And again, the tools that we have available to us today are just amazing. Literally amazing. When I got into this hobby 50 plus years ago, uh, it was all eyepiece and filters, uh, and I could never see stuff like this. I could never make a movie like this. And today we have the luxury of being able to own software that allows us to extend the capabilities of the tools and the equipment that we have. So clear skies, everyone. And until the next time, see you later.